everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going through my top 10 most favorite basic eyeshadow palettes. I'm so excited to share with you guys. It's taken me a minute to create this list, and I got this idea from my friend Theresa from Theresa's Dead. Actually, she is my longest friend that I've had on YouTube. We both have been friends pretty much since we were like little itty bitty channels with a few thousand subscribers. And we have been friends for so many years now. And I'm actually getting ready to meet her in person when I go to Florida. She just moved to Florida. I am doing a bunch of pre-filming because, so while you guys are seeing this, I am already on vacation and we're going to Florida for 3.5 weeks. My husband's from there, his family's there, and Theresa moved from New York to Florida, so we're gonna meet up and I'm so excited. So this video is definitely dedicated to Theresa and our friendship and how much I love her, and I can't wait to meet her. I know that she's done like part 1, part 2, part 3 of this basic eyeshadow palette, so I'm excited. And the reason why I'm not saying the full B word is because in case you guys have little kids around and it's on speaker, and I don't want to do that. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Now, these palettes are not in any particular order, you guys, because I can't do that. That's almost like too hard. These are just my top 10 favorites. These are like ride or dies all the time, and I can't really put them in order. I don't know that I can rank them. I just don't know that I can because I love them all so equally. So I'm just not gonna rank them. It is what it is. I'm just gonna grab. That's all I'm gonna do. These are not ranked. So let's go ahead and get started. The first palette that I see is this palette from NARS. Now this one sadly is discontinued. This is the Skin Deep palette. This is basic colors. These are basic everyday colors. In my opinion, this is the best palette that NARS has ever launched. Hands down, best palette NARS has ever launched. These shades are so dependable, so beautiful. And I've had this for a couple of years now. I don't even know. And it works just like it did when I first got it. And I think it only has a 24-month shelf life. Yeah, it's 24 months. I've had this for years and it still works fantastic. Even though it's a very basic palette, this is one of the best. So that is for sure on the list. Let's talk about this one. So this one is from KKW Beauty. And as we know, that is Kim Kardashian West's beauty brand, which I don't know what's going on with that, to be honest with you. I really love the formula. I do. I cannot deny it. I like it. I really like it. And her formula is always very dependable for me. This was the first palette that I ever bought. I think this was the first palette she ever launched. So let's see. This is I don't even know. It says KKW Beauty eyeshadow palette. So I don't know. I can't remember what this is called, but this is the first one I bought. Still using this so much, but I don't use it on camera because you guys can't get it. I don't know what she's doing with the brand. I know that she's kind of rebranding, and from what I hear, she's wanting to kind of bring everything together as far as like the beauty and the fragrance and kind of make it one brand. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work, but for now you can't buy KKW Beauty at the moment. But I really love this palette. I think this is the classic one, if I'm not mistaken. But the shades are just so blendable and so easy to blend. So this had to be on my list, but these two are the only ones that you can't get anymore. So I wanted to kind of get those out of the way. But these two are one of my favorite basic palettes. So I had to talk about it, you know? It is. All right, the next one we have here is from Natasha Denona. So this is the Mini Nude palette. Again, basic colors, but fantastic results. Every single time I use this palette, I always love the look that I create. This is definitely one that I love to use in like September, October, November time because the shades just kind of go with that theme. But this is definitely very basic colors, basic tones. One of my favorite mini palettes from her. I love the retro, love the mini retro. That probably is my #1 favorite mini palette, but I would say the mini nudes is definitely right up there with the retro, the mini retro. But this is a gorgeous palette. I love it, so I had to mention it. Let's just talk about this other palette from Natasha Denona. So this is the actual GLAM palette. And The only thing about this palette is it needs more mattes. This palette doesn't have enough mattes, but it has a lot of beautiful shimmers. And because of that, I give it a pass because I can pull, you know, mattes from other palettes and I'll be fine with it. But these are very basic, but gorgeous. One of my absolute favorite midi size palettes from Natasha Denona. And I love the cool tones. And this palette was one of the first palettes that kind of made me fall into love with cool tones. There's one more palette that's here on my list that's more cool tone that really made me love cool tones because I was always comfortable only wearing more like warm tone eyeshadows. And when I bought the other palette, which I'll just go ahead and talk about that next, and this palette, that was like my turning point where I really started to love cool tone eyeshadow looks. And this palette is just perfection. All the shades blend so beautifully, so pigmented. And what I also love about it is it's so beginner friendly because every shadow doesn't have like a name. It's basically describing where you can put it. So for example, this shade up here says center eyelid. That says outer eyelid, that says inner corner, that says crease. So this is such a basic beginner friendly palette. Of course it had to be on the list. I mean, it's just a great palette overall. And I mean, it's Natasha Denona, so there you go. About the other palette I was talking about that kind of made me fall in love with cool tones is this Nude Dip palette from Tom Ford. It's a very basic color story, but I love this quad. This is one of my favorite quads from Tom Ford. And I actually bought this at the cosmetic company store in St. Augustine. When I was there last year, I went to the factory outlet malls there, which I'm going to go again this year. And I went there and I found this at the cosmetic company store at the factory outlet mall in St. Augustine. And I paid like $32, $33 for it. I was flipping out excited over this. I mean, you can see why. This is the Nude Dip. I mean, you can see I've used it so much that all of the TF, so the wet dry formula is always stamped, which is my favorite formula, by the way. You can see I've used it so much that the TF that's normally stamped on the wet dry formula is completely gone. I just love, love, love this quad. Just gorgeous. Another one from Tom Ford that I actually ended up buying this because of Mel. This was one of her favorites, and I understand why. This is Mink Mirage. I'm actually just going to get rid of those for a second. This is the Mink Mirage palette, and this is one of those that is basic. This is everything that you think basic is. And I remember, you know, Mel always talking about how much she loved the Mink Mirage, and I remember a few months ago, I saw Andrea Ali upload a video. If I find it, I will put it up here on the screen right now. But she did such a unique, beautiful eyeshadow look using this. And don't get me wrong, you didn't need this palette to create the look she was wearing, but that was what made me pull the trigger and get it. And I have not regretted it because this is a very basic palette. I didn't need it. I did get it on sale. In my defense, I got it on sale at like maybe one of the Saks or Neiman Marcus or something. I don't know what the percentage that I got off on it, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, at the end of the day, this is a very basic palette, but it's a very fantastic palette. And so I had to put it on the list. Of course it's going to be on the list. Let's talk about this palette right here. This was one of my #1 favorite palettes of 2021. This is from Vanity Makeup, and I don't feel like this palette gets the love that it deserves. This, in my opinion, is one of the best palettes that I bought in 2021. These matte shades right here are perfection. They blend so beautifully. But then you have these shades. I mean, look at the reflection just off the lights. These shades right here, they are incredible. And this is an expensive palette. I get it. It is. But this palette, you can tell it was created by a makeup artist that took a lot of time in developing the formula and the overall finishes of especially the shimmers. Fantastic palette. In fact, I know that I have seen Tanya Wells also talk about how much she loves this palette. And I've heard from you guys saying that the signature palette, that's what it's called, the signature palette is one of your absolute favorite palettes. because it is just a very easy, beautiful, dependable formula, little to no fallout, and it's just, oh, perfection. It's good. The next one is one of my personal favorites. You guys won't be surprised. This is the Surratt Beauty Beyond Beige palette. This is what basic is for me. This is one of those palettes that I always reach for when I need something just super simple, quick, and it's always dependable. And the way that this silky shade right here blends and buffs it into my crease, it just is gorgeous. And that's the only way I can describe it. These two shades right here, because like these are more of a matte formula. You can see I've almost hit pan on that shade. And I think right now, well, last time I checked, and I'm not sure when this video is going up, but last time I checked, this palette is available at Beautylish. It's still in stock right now. So this is a palette that goes in and out of stock constantly because it's such a good palette and kind of like a staple. And again, I was introduced to this palette from Mel. The reason why I bought this is because Mel was always talking about Beyond Beige and how amazing it was. And I bought it and I love it. So these two are more matte, but these two have that silky texture and they're a silky shimmer, and it's hard to explain the actual texture of these until you use them. It's hard to put it into words. They don't look like much, but when you put this shade right here in the crease, it is stunning. And especially for those, I feel like this is like texture friendly, wrinkle friendly, because it's not too overwhelming on the eye. It's just very beautiful, and I never get fallout with it. I never have harsh lines. It's just, it's basic, but it is phenomenal and worth every penny in my personal opinion. It's one of those palettes that if I lost it tomorrow, I would repurchase it. The next one is from Victoria Beckham Beauty. So this is her eye bricks, and this one is in the shade Signature. I'm actually wearing another one of her eye bricks right now on my eyes. I did a full video on this. I will link the video of me doing this makeup look in the description box down below. So this palette I bought last year when I was reviewing several products from Victoria Beckham Beauty. Her eyeshadow formula is very pigmented, but effortless to blend. So there's a lot of brands out there, Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath, you know, there's a lot of those brands that they're very pigmented. And sometimes if you get too carried away, you can almost lose control of it. And then you have to work really hard to work it out and blend it out, especially with Pat McGrath. Her mattes are extremely pigmented. And there's like a learning curve when it comes to using those types of formulas. Sometimes you just can lose control and then you're in it and you're trying to repair it and figure it out. But with the Victoria Beckham Beauty, I've used this palette so much, by the way. It's got so much product in this little teeny palette, but her formula is pigmented and packs a punch, but blends effortlessly. Like you never have to worry about losing control, and you never have to worry about having to work hard to kind of blend it out and grab something else to blend it. Like her eyeshadow formula, in my opinion, is very, very underrated. And Victoria Beckham Beauty is quickly becoming one of my favorite brands for a reason, because she has really good products and her eye bricks are phenomenal. Last but not least is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam. This has been in my collection for a very long time, and I love the shade Burnt Orange and Sienna and Rustic and Cypress Ember. Like all four of these shades are so good. And this was a palette that when I was, earlier when I was talking about, I only felt comfortable wearing and using like warm eyeshadows. This was one of those palettes that I would reach for to create that really effortless, easy, warm eyeshadow look. And the thing about Anastasia Beverly Hills, their formulas are very powdery in the pan. They're very, very powdery, and they kind of make a mess as far as that goes, but they blend beautifully. And I've never had a problem with their formula. I also really love the Jackie Aina palette, the palette that she created with Anastasia Beverly Hills. That is one of, I think, the best palettes that Anastasia Beverly Hills ever created, in my opinion. I mean, this is a good one. This is a basic palette, But in my opinion, the Jackie Aina palette it is top notch. And I feel like it's the best that ABH ever launched. But anyway, I had to mention this one because this one is definitely my favorite for those gorgeous, warm looks. And it's an oldie but a goodie. You know what I mean? So I had to include it. So that is the list, you guys. Those are my top 10 most favorite basic palettes. What is your favorite basic palette? I'm so curious to hear your thoughts. So sound off down below. Let us know. I love when you guys share your favorites. So definitely don't hold back on us. Share with us your favorite. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.